Hi guys, this is Breaker, and I'm back with a replay that I took from Casted, the subsection of Reddit StarCraft. And today I've got a replay that, in the words of the uploader, was, this is quite strange. This is not being very cooperative. Let's see here. Okay, let me get my correct hotkey set up, loaded out, and good to go. Okay, that's Observer. That's particularly strange. Let's try... Okay, let's see. That's turned off. Something is not right here. It's as though... okay, well now it finally cooperates. There we go. Sorry about that. I was hitting Shift-O repeatedly, trying to figure out just what the heck was up. But let me go ahead and give both players their introduction. In the lower left-hand corner, spawning as our Terran in the red trunks, I give you all CRGLindzo. Not quite sure what the CRG clan represents or who they are, but you know. And in the upper right hand corner, we do have Moobla. Moobla. Sounds like a cow that's trying to learn to speak English. And according to the uploader's comments, this is a game that's going to be in for the long haul. Talking about the map for just a minute, it is kind of, wide open here. If Terran needs to, they can construct bunkers on the fly and pull SCVs to repair them in the context of TVP. Conversely, early game with a Protoss player, we are looking at essentially a huge heap of trouble in the early game if they cannot correctly reinforce themselves or get enough, units out on the map to deal with whatever small bio or even tank force could be coming at them. Our Protoss is now sending out his probe scout. Just gotta see what's going on around here. Waiting to see just what is going on. And there we go. He sees the orbital command, no gas. So that could potentially pave the way for a 3 orbital command opener. This means that all the SCVs are being strictly committed to minerals. But we do have a single gas for Moobla. And this tells me that, it's quite essential to have at least a single gas as a Protoss, because of course you need to get that warp gate tech up and ready to go ASAP. But I'm thinking what this could overall mean for him is, at the very least, he's going to try and take an early expo, I think. There is plenty of room, and the probe is coming down to take it. That's right. Because he saw that it was simply a gasless expand coming from our Terran, he's going to go ahead and go with his own single gas cybernetics core in warp gate tech in research kind of opener. Something I thought we would see. Continuing on with the game as it develops for both players, we do have the mothership core in production. And now we finally have Lindzo going for double gas. Behind this, more barracks as well. So this isn't going to be a 1-1-1. What this could be is, I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of potential with this, because particularly we do see that there is no third command center in production just yet. This leads me to believe that we're going to see some forward pressure from CRGLindzo. And I am entirely prepared to retract that statement, as my PvT is decrepit. I play Zerg. I've, since Wings of Liberty, I've played nothing but Zerg, but yeah. Oh boy, that wasn't supposed to happen. Sorry about that. So we do have a tech lab going down, and I'm thinking that the first thing it's going to crank out is Stim Pack. And if not Stim Pack, it's probably going to be combat shields. Ooh, and this little probe, this sneaky little probe, manages to get by, and oh, the Marines, they're waiting for their opportunity to pounce on that mothership core. A handful of Marines managed to push that mothership core away. The probe came in here, and I don't even need to double check. I can tell you guys right now just what kind of vision, what kind of sight he had on that, and that's essentially a double scout from a Protoss. Now, behind this, what do we see CRGLindzo do? I mean, is he going to try and put on that forward pressure or not? We just have to wait and see Moobla's reaction, essentially. And this is actually a dangerous move, I think, and I feel, by Moobla. He's actually going straight into Colossi Tech. You know, he's got a single gateway out. He's got another one that's in production right now, and it looks like I'm getting a message on Facebook. I apologize, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Went ahead and closed down the Facebook. This is supposed to be a long one. I won't try and let it interrupt again. But Stim is about halfway done. These Marines kind of have some room to do some damage, but if they just knew how little they were up against, they would be in such a much better position to do economic damage. Just look at this. Stalker's already been taken down. Are we going to see any probes get lost here? Possibly, and possibly not. It would have been a beautiful move if we had seen Moobla pull those probes just as he was warping in that Zealot. Gateway number 2 on the way. What is it going to warp in and where is it going to warp in? There it is. Perfect timing. He initiates it correctly this time, but unfortunately he does lose one probe there. And these Marines, it's going to, you know, it's possible to micro 2 Marines versus a Stalker versus a Zealot, but I mean, there are the reinforcements coming in to take care of that. It's a hassle to do. This one Stalker versus as many Marines, you know, they can be infinikited, if you will. And the first Colossus is finally out. That means these Marines are now nothing but ashes. The question I got on Facebook was about Idra leaving EG. Or actually, basically being kicked from EG, if you will. Lindzo behind this, you know, taking more gas. Stim did finish, and now he's going for combat shields. Behind that, the third going down. We have our Terran playing greedy. And I feel, you know, he did do a lot of economic damage with that. Let's just check and see how much, you know, 5 workers, not to mention the delayed mining time. If we check the income right now, it's dangerously in favor of Moobla, or excuse me, dangerously in favor of Lindzo. We need to see Moobla become just a little bit more conscious of this and perhaps go for his own third. He's putting a probe there. What else is he going to do with that? Okay. I see where that's going. Yeah, okay, so we got a factory that's actually going to get floated down there. Of course, factories are not Protoss structures. Let's see. This little Marine Bioforce, I guess, is just kind of moving out a little bit, getting a good read on the map, trying to figure out if there are any proxy pylons. No, wait a minute, this is a double medevac drop timing. I did not see the medevacs on the minimap, well, until just now, actually, but yeah, they were on the minimap. +1 finishing up behind this. Do we have +1 armor? It's getting started, and perhaps once that is halfway done or finished, we will see the second engineering bay tacked on. But for now, we also see Colossus range finishing up for our blue toss. Kind of a forward pylon here. This is, you know, I don't know what to make of this right now. I mean, it's a little scary, but I really feel as though we should see Moobla essentially take a third now, especially now that his opponent's income is skyrocketing. But at the same time, he has to be able and ready to defend that third. There we go. Small Bioforce making its way over here, just keeping a Marine there. And the factory's going to go down to block, and it won't be blocking there for too long. No, it's either going to be forced to land or lift up, which will do it no good. There's too many Stalkers here. But this gives the Bioforce here all the freedom in the world to go ahead and poke into the natural. And then the main. How many probes will die here? Is it any? I don't know. They're targeting down the Nexus. Will they get it? They're being microed. No, it looks like they were pulled back at just the right second. And if we see the Ignite Afterburners button activated, then perhaps, just perhaps, we're going to see a medevac drop onto the main. It won't be happening in the near future. We do need to see essentially a tap to the stomach before a tap to the head goes down. And oh no, wait a minute. There's that tap to the head. A lot of workers are going to be killed here, guys. Oh man, that's just painful to look at. It's just, you know, sick. 13 workers altogether up until this point. But the small Bioforce here is going to run in, and are they going to get the prevent on this third? I don't know. There are some... That's beautiful eyes. You know, that's a beautiful spot by our Protoss, but unfortunately he's going to be forced to cancel this third? Or not? Well, that was rather interesting, as we do have our Lindzo just making one mistake and not... You know, he just totally forgot to actually kill that third. But again, double medevac drop coming back into the main, trying to do whatever damage they can. 2 more probes killed, bringing the worker difference to about 20 right now. This is actually putting Lindzo, again, dangerously far ahead. If we look at the supply count right now, it's 151, 152 to 106. And if we go ahead and measure the army count presently, that's just, you know, get a look at this. It's just getting out of control for Lindzo, really. +2 attacks now on the way for our Terran. Vehicle weapons... I don't know. This is essentially telling me that's going to make the Vikings stronger. Of course it will, that goes without saying. But they're going to be extremely invaluable in killing out the Colossi. If the Viking count is high enough, then we could essentially see, you know, Vikings taking on the Colossi. Once they are taken down, they can land and join the ground army and destroying this Protoss. But I mean, here we go. It's just all, you know, it's really going to depend on how well we see our Protoss doing his crisis management. Ooh, Mothership Core is gonna get sniped, but not before Photon Overcharge goes down first. The main, we got some trouble. The biggest threat is not Marines. The biggest threat is Marines with upgrades like Stim, Combat Shield, 1-1, 2-2, and so on and so forth. And now we're just waiting for Lindzo to essentially spot the mistakes from our Protoss. And there it is, that mistake pulling, I wouldn't say just like a total mistake. I wouldn't say a total mess up, a total screw up. But what is this all about? I'm a little confused here. Why did he hesitate here with his army? Perhaps he had no vision of the main army here being pulled out, but we do have 4 gateways essentially shielding the Nexus here, whose shields are still damaged from the attack that nearly got it canceled. 4th base getting started up for Lindzo. Again, I just don't know what to make of this. We do have our Protoss severely far behind, supply blocked, and now that is those are the most beautiful force fields I've ever seen in this map. We have to see the Stalkers take out all of the Colossi, even more beautiful force fields. And does a single Colossus fall? It looks like yes, 2 of them fall, but at the same time these force fields are just, they're kind of blocking all of the Terran from getting in there. But oh my god, they're so concentrated on killing the Colossi, they're being forced into this kind of funnel right here. More and more reinforcements coming back, and it looks like slowly but surely we have Moobla holding against this attack. Beautiful, if not absolutely sick defense. And now these are a bunch of orange and red health Marauders. That means if they fall underneath this Colossus, it's only going to take 1 or 2 shots to kill all of them, not to mention the Stalkers helping them out. Look at them, just melting before the might of a single Colossus. 35 kills on it because of an overstim happy Terran. And now I'm thinking this could be one of those engagements that turns the game around, this next and upcoming one. If we see the same mistakes from Lindzo, which is, again, I say, stimming with very insufficient medevac counts, such as the medevac count we're looking at right now, then it could potentially kill him. It could be his undoing. You could make him his own worst enemy. As for the upgrades right now, we do have +2/+2 for both players, +3/+3 on the way, and +2 vehicle weapons, ship weapons, excuse me, for our Vikings in the sky. Yes, those guys from Normandy. Another medevac drop going down in the main, double medevac drop. Those are especially powerful if we simply have a Terran who knows what he's doing with them. It looks like, you know, with that he didn't kill any probes, but oh my god, the rally points. Double Storm's going down, kind of getting wasted there, and an Archon is morphed in what is left of those 2 High Templar. These medevac drops going to fly straight into a bunch of Stalkers that would be more than happy to eat them alive. And the third, very exposed here. There is an Archon, but again, there's no medevacs here to heal these Marines. That is what's going to cause them so much damage. The supply count does nothing. If you have a bunch of... Okay, 173 to 146. The biggest problem is that we see Lindzo repeatedly re-engaging this Protoss with very low health army. You could have 200 Marines and Marauders versus 200 Stim Zealots, excuse me, not Stim Zealots, but Charge Lots. And as long as those Marines are at 1 health, and as long as those Marauders are at 1 health, we're going to see them eventually be dissipated, especially with bad engagements. Beautiful storms! Oh my god! And again, we have Lindzo just, you know, he's re-empowering himself. He's got Vikings in the mix, yes, but he needs to get those medevacs back into the mix. That is the most important part, and ultimately, he needs to be able to integrate Ghosts with his mix. The Stim in itself, I mean, this is basically, I think, a way of compensating for the weaknesses of Terran. Yes, I say weaknesses of Terran. They do have them, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. But the thing is, the weakness of Terran is in this situation, the late game, where we see the Bio, the Vikings, and everything else being put together. The Vikings force a lower medevac count. So how do you compensate for that? You stim, and you stim very carefully, but at the same time, you have to do something to put your Protoss opponent on the same ground as you. So how do you do that? You put Ghosts in the mix, which we see now coming in, and they will take away the shields of these units. We have 80 shields on Stalkers, 5100 shields on Zealots. Now, for High Templars, in and of themselves, we have 40, but of course, you know, they're pretty OP as long as you can stack those storms correctly. And it's, you know, it's just going to come down to just how this next engagement goes, really. Ultimately, I do see a lot of room for, not error, but instead victory for our Terran, if he can just execute it correctly. Conversely, I see Moobla not making too many mistakes, but he really needs to get more AoE into the mix. We're talking Colossi, guys. Archons versus Ghosts. Who wins that fight? Well, oh my god, this is going to be absolutely sick right here. Do you see this? 5 command centers. That's, you know, I think he just spent a good deal of his bank there. That's 5 times 400. That's 2,000 minerals he just threw away on command centers. Some of them will be morphed into orbital commands to essentially take this position, and perhaps even this position of the map over here. I can see that happening. And 2 orbital commands being used defensively, that would be, again, sick. But why is there a 5th one? I'm thinking perhaps, just perhaps, his aim could be to take this pocket lower right expansion. Warp Prism coming into play as well in this game, and Warp Prism speed as well. So if you combine that with what we already have, the High Templars, then they will be infinitely valuable. Like, I don't know how else to say it. There's a lot of full energy High Templar here. Now there's what, 5 of them right here? And they're going to get loaded up into a Warp Prism, I think, and then dropped into the natural, or the 3rd, or preferably over here. If they're dropped over here, then they will actually outrange the Planetary Fortress that's there and be able to get free reign on SCV kills. But at this stage in the game, I think, you know, our Terran is essentially making all of these command centers, possibly morphing some of them into, yes, orbital commands. And 1 or 2 of them will probably be moved into forward positions like here and here. And the reason why we see this happening is because our Terran is getting ready to throw away all of his SCVs. Not all of them, but at least the ones that are mining minerals, because mules cannot do gas. Yeah, guys, that would be entirely overpowered. Now we see shields. What level is it? Level 2 going into research. The Warp Prism moving into position with just 2 High Templar. Of course, not wanting to make too much of a loss of things if he does in fact lose them. Missile turret over here. I don't think that's going to be in his best interest. And now we have a single Zealot going toe-to-toe with a bunch of SCVs. Wow, they're only doing 2. Wow, they're only doing 1 damage to him. That's how much the armor is kicking into that. And we do have, essentially, our Protoss moving out of this. Oh my god. The EMPs are beautiful, but they only connect with a single Archon. We're going to need to see defensive storms, and there it is! It shoos away the Terran army for the time being. And I believe these Vikings are +3/+3. Yes, they are. Oh my god, and there was a storm behind this, I believe. Look at the reduced SCV count here. More defensive storms going down as we see Lindzo chasing away Moobla, meanwhile, if you will. many, many more gateways being tacked on as well. Alright. I was about to say, this is one of those games that's getting so long that we're running out of music. Okay, so these two are also being turned into orbital commands as well, so we're going to see the mule count really come down. All these Vikings went all the way up there to deal with that warp prism that was essentially empty. And now we have Lindzo. I think he's getting ready to throw away his army. He's like, okay, well, I got a bank. Now I've got the ability to add more infrastructure, and he's doing that right now by adding on many more starports. I just wanted to click over here and highlight how many barracks he has. But those barracks are going to be useless in the near future. I'm wondering if perhaps he might be willing to use some of them, if you will, as overlords. The way overlords are used by Zergs, but I'm thinking perhaps the consequences would be far too great if he were to do that. And by now, I think Moobla should be realizing something along the lines of that. He must be realizing, okay, well, this guy, we're getting to the 30-minute mark. He's going to want to throw away his SCVs and, everything else. Feedbacks, beautiful feedbacks on the ghosts, but we've got enough for a single storm. Instead, it's used as a feedback to deal with that ghost. How many are there in the mix now? 3. But one of them is full energy. And it looks like he has every intention of using that to essentially hit the Archons with some EMPs. And aside from a few Colossi in back, we're not going to have too much in the way of AoE. Perhaps 5 Archons will fall. SCV was kind of thrown away there, but what is with this here? I'm absolutely confused. Oh well, let's see. Vikings moving over here, and now DTs. I did miss that going into the mix. Fusion Core on the way. That means we are going to see battle cruisers operational. Or if you live in the American Midwest like myself, we're going to see some cattle bruisers, ladies and gents. Alright, DT coming in here as well. Forcing those scans, which are almost useless now. Beautiful storm. Gets a few Marines. Pylon as a trip mine here. Basically letting our Protoss know that, he's going to be in danger pretty soon. But where are the ghosts here? Where are they? Where are they? Excuse me. They aren't in the mix. That's the biggest... Oh, wait. There they are. Sorry, the Vikings were hiding them. That is 8 ghosts. Though that is like a dozen EMPs, guys. Meanwhile, an orbital command was floated over here. Wise choice is it only has to worry about defending here, but of course our Terran's getting ready to stim up and move in to the lower right-hand corner. This base, both armies at 200, and the Viking count here is just insane. Look at this right here. I mean, the Colossus are just gonna essentially fall apart as the Zealot Archon army chases down this bio ball. The EMP connections are absolutely sick, and right now we see both sides of the map are kind of even in terms of supply, but again, I want to emphasize the income, if not the bank, for our Terran player. Excuse me. Wow. I'm sorry, not the income for our Terran player. Well, okay, maybe the income for our Terran player, but not the bank. Definitely not the bank. He's not having any trouble spending that money. Just look at it. Now it's going into battle cruisers, 3 at a time. No way to speed up their production, and Moobla has got to become conscious of this. He's got to become aware of just what kind of threat he is going to face in the near future. What is going on here? We've got SCVs getting thrown away up here, but there's already a ton of mules here. Look at the income because of those mules. It's absurd right now. Moobla didn't lose this expo, thankfully. But his opponent did throw away a lot of Marines there, and now we have the Mobius reactor being researched? No, Behemoth reactor, and a 6th storm going down on the Marines in this force. I want to say if the splits are not the best from Lindzo, so we have to see Moobla just spend all of his storms. There he is doing it! Oh my god, that is sick right there. Tons of 1 HP Marines stimming away with what could be their essentially final stim. And I want to say that we had Moobla entirely too hesitant to engage there. I mean, if we just saw the Vikings, if they balled up on top of an Archon, that would have just been sick. But behind this, we also see that Lindzo is going for the 6 o'clock expo. 6 snipes by the ghosts, just dealing with the Zealot that's there, and another medevac drop going down. Is this a medevac drop, or were they simply being thrown away? I think, right now we could actually see Lindzo get ready to throw away all of his if you will, all of his Marines just little by little at various corners of the map and inside those medevacs, and it would be more than worth his time. But I want to say that the battle cruiser count right now is not favorable. DT is going down here, killing off some mules. 5 kills on that DT. Just nibbling away at the Bioforce there. Just one at a time. Okay, that was bad imitation. But over here, yeah, you know, he certainly took down almost everything that was mining there. How many workers have been killed now? 22, 22, even for both players, amazingly enough. It looks like we're gonna have our Protoss. You know, he's certainly getting some goal in there. And oh, what are the storms gonna be like here? I don't know if our Terran is even remotely aware of that. No, he wasn't. And with that, he lost 9 more SCBs altogether. Archon's gonna finish morphing here. If he's actually clicked, you know, if he's gonna concentrate on those worker kills, that would be great. Not a whole lot else going on around the map, except both players really turtling, really being hesitant to attack right now. And who could blame them? There's so much to lose if, you know, they make one slip up in the engagement. The micro, it would just cost them so much. So here we go, Moobla. Getting ready to go at it yet again with Lindzo. Ooh, another... It looked like that was going to be a defensive orbital command, but it looks like it got canceled. The storms need to be... Just, I don't know, where are they? Oh my god, the Marines stimming right into that storm. There goes another! The Ghost's weighing back. The EMP is not quite going to connect. Another 6 storm going down. And we actually see Moobla in an extremely favorable position. The only question is he aware of it, or is he completely oblivious still? You know, he's 30 supply ahead of his opponent. I think he's completely unaware of the fact that his opponent is switching up tech. His production is mostly going into battlecruisers and Marines for the leftover, if you will, for the leftover supply, the sugar-coated supply that he could be getting out. Gas, I don't know, income right now? God, it's just not in favor of our Terran player. He just has to realize that he's still got this base up here that he can do nothing but throw mules at. It would be so great if he did. And are these gas? These gases were completely untaken. So I'm not sure if this is a mistake or not. He's finally taking this one, but it looks like Moobla may be moving into just the correct angle. He may be moving into the engagement just in time. The storms, I don't know, they're kind of good, they're kind of bad, but I mean, if the battlecruisers wanted to, I think they could just steamroll on in this. There are feedbacks going down on them, but they're not going to do a whole lot of good, and I think this is actually doing a bit more damage for our Terran than it was intended. We do see that it is 188 supply to 196. And right now, Moobla, I think, is going to try his luck and move out. Ghost's entirely caught out of position. Do they have personal cloaking? They do. Why do they not cloak? There's no observer in the mix here. Orbital command gets surrounded, forced to lift off. No storms here to take down the bioforce of our Terran. And now, just as I say it, they come into the mix, but, you know, oh man, the Ghost's getting ready to move forward and deal some damage to those High Templar. I don't think it's going to quite work out. They're right in the middle of all that bio. So, again, to recap, like our composition here for our Terran is Battlecruiser, Marine, Ghost, Viking. How does one beat this as Protoss? That is the question. And a bunch of Zealots doing a run by up here. I think they're going to get this planetary fortress. They're going to force some kind of reaction from the Terran. They should be forcing that reaction. But it looks like these SCVs are going to repair it, and it's going to be just fine. You know, basically stalling for time. The planetary fortress doing splash damage to anything that it is directed at. And behind this, there was some kind of engagement. No. That was just a misstim, I think. 2 Zealots left going to work on this thing. Oh my god. Are they going to get the burn down on it? Are they going to kill it? Are they going to destroy it? Holy hell! Mule's getting called down on top of it, and an SCV repairs it at the last second. Meanwhile, huge engagement going down here, and a blink away from that engagement. It appears our Terran is almost completely oblivious to the fact that he can actually repair battlecruisers. No, wait, just as I say that, he is doing so. Mules coming down. It looks like they can only repair one at a time, and now we see Moobla moving in for an engagement. Oh, aggressive blink forward. They're going to take down one battlecruiser at the very least. The surrounding Marines are actually getting stormed. I don't know who's going to make it out on top of this. It's hard to say, just as I say that the Stim Marines are coming in, but the storms on them are so beautiful. It is now 90 supply to 132, and I just want to say that we have such a huge bank from Protoss right now. It's not so much the income that matters, but his bank now. If you can just sustain that bank a little bit longer, all he needs to do is pull these probes, put them on this mineral line, possibly the gases. That would be a good idea as well. And he's got to get many, many more High Templars out. Once again, this base was forced to lift off. It's one of the only mining bases. Photon overcharge activated on the mothership here, or excuse me, on the Nexus here. Marines getting shot away one at a time. And it looks like we're going to have him defend for the time being. You know, Moobla just staying in this game. Of course, every time he attacks this orbital command, it does him some good because it forces his opponent to essentially sacrifice income. But I do need to highlight here that there's such a huge, bustling mineral patch that it makes it so much more possible to do that. And here we go. Photon cannons are being attacked by the battle cruisers. Many of them are low HP. He's got energy everywhere. Why does he simply not use his orbital commands to go ahead and repair those battle cruisers? It would certainly be worth his time. Looks like one or two did fall there. Aggressive blink forward. The Stalkers targeting down the battle cruisers, but the Zealots unable to get into a forward position to engage. And it looks like CRGLindzo loses all of his battle cruisers, all of his bioforce, and now this game has just been completely turned the hell around. All that's left here is two battle cruisers, a handful of medevacs, and some ghosts. What can they possibly do? The planetary fortress here now under siege. I think we're going to see this game gradually go into the favor of Moobla. You know, he's kind of on the ropes there for a few minutes, it seemed, in this macro game. But now we see Moobla going into what seems to be a definitive lead right now, especially if these two battle cruisers fall. It's just going to mean, you know, essentially that Lindzo wins. I've seen this kind of game happen between the Chinese the Chinese Protoss known as Maxed and Beastie Cutie in the HoTS beta. Beastie Cutie is, of course, everyone's favorite Serbian Protoss Terran. Everyone's favorite Serbian Terran. He came out on top in the entire tournament, and the problem is, you know, the reason why he was able to turn that game around was actually a mistake from Maxed. Maxed did not kill the infrastructure, which would be these buildings right here. And there were 5 starports producing the battle cruisers. Now we just see, you know, essentially Lindzo, you know, he's going to gradually lose this. The last battle cruiser does fall. Fusion Core is going to come under attack. These High Templar need to be put in a position to use their storms. And now we need to see this Fusion Core fall under attack, therefore, and thereby bringing the impossibility of battle cruisers into the game. Just all these Marines are all that's left, and now Lindzo should have his fate spelled out to him thoroughly. He should know that there's no coming back from this. And he says GG and leaves the game. Ladies and gentlemen, amazing play by Moobla. Congratulations, you won this, bro. If you guys liked what you saw here today, just go ahead and click on the subscribe button. This has been Breaker. I'll see you guys next time.